Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another Top Cut breakdown video. Today we have a few events to go over for you guys for what's pretty much the mid set for set 13. Set 14 comes out in just about a month, so it's gonna be pretty cool to see where we're at meta wise in the middle of set 13, and then of course do some speculation about how the ban list might impact things, how set 14 might impact things, stuff of that nature. If you guys are new here though, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss a Dragon Ball Super video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description to do so. Particularly today though, if you want to compete in competitive events just like we'll talk about today, make sure to check out the Patreon down in the description there. You can read the articles there, see where my head's at competitively, as well as inquire about some coaching if you really want to step your game up. That being said, we will get started with the first event. Looking at the core TCG online regional, 230 players. Those online events always get huge turnouts. So for the top 16, we have 3 King Vegeta taking the W here. We have 3 Sin Shenron. One was actually control and 2 of the builds were aggro. We know going into set 14 that the Sin aggro build is essentially dead, so I don't really feel like there's too much to talk about with Sin aggro going forward unless you really plan on playing it going into another set 13 event before set 14 drops. You really just want to, maximize your consistency and your ability to see cards so that you can see your Pangrade Whisper by turn 2, turn 3, your Celzino, your Swift Retaliation Cooler if you're waiting for a turn 3 kill, because a lot of your dragons can't really find those cards. They can only really find other dragons, including your leader, until you get awakened. So that's something to keep in mind, but it is really interesting to note here that Sin Control was the one to go the furthest out of all the Sin builds in this top 16. Pretty cool stuff. Of course, we have 2 Mecha Frieza, 2 Vegex, nothing super surprising there. It's always nice, though, to see a Gogeta Xeno here, and Gogeta Xeno is a deck that I do want to talk about a little bit. It's a little bit unfortunate, in my opinion, that going into set 14, the ban list doesn't really seem to be affecting Vegex and Dark Broly too much. Now, of course, obviously, Vegex and Dark Broly are going to be slightly less powerful, but is that going to be to such a high degree that other black decks are really going to be able to step up? I just kind of don't see it. And Gogeta Xeno was one that I was really pulling for if Vegex was to be pulled back enough, but it doesn't really look like it's going to be happening. But I think Gogeta Xeno will still be a really solid pick. I mean, some of the best black cards in the game right now are SS3 Gogeta thwarting a Dark Empire, along with the cards that kind of support him. So Gogeta Xeno will always be a nice house for that type of strategy because you get big advantages from fusing, namely drawing cards. But Vegex, Dark Broly are still also going to be very good engines to use with that Gogeta thwarting Dark Empire engine itself. So it's going to be a little tough for Gogeta Xeno to really find its own footing, in my opinion. I do think Vegex and Dark Broly will still outclass it just a little bit, but I don't think it's a bad deck to pick by any means, even going into set 14. Then we do have Soul Striker. You're going to notice that Blue and Soul Striker in particular is very popular across this weekend, which is a really cool thing to see. Not overly dominant in this event, but we will see more of it as we go on. Blue Green Android 16 is one that we've seen so sporadically coming out of Evolution Booster, and it's always nice to see. Like, Evolution Booster didn't really have as much of an impact as many players may have hoped. There were a lot of really cool strategies that came out of it, like Nappa, like Android 16, like Android 13, but Android 16 is the one that seems to be doing the best coming out of Evolution Booster, so that's a pretty cool thing to note there. And then we do have a skillless SS2 Gohan. Again, another one we see somewhat sporadically. It is a solid deck, but I think if you're playing blue, Baby is probably just the best option, but actually after this weekend there could be a really solid argument for Soul Striker with how well it did. And the one Dark Broly, nothing super surprising there, but there is a Chilai Limo hand control build. I'll post the links to these deck lists down in the description so you guys can see them. This build was just super cool. It was a 60 card wish deck that used some really good green staples, as well as a new red green Broly promo that came out with the championship pack cards just to get awakened a little bit more quickly. Pretty cool stuff. Really nice to see that it made the top 16 here. Again, deck lists for this event will be down in the description for you guys to check out. Let's keep it moving. All right, the G Sports first G Series event with 50 players. This is cool. This is a IRL event that was held in Florida. Shout out to my teammate Justin Rios for winning the event with Mecha Frieza. Mecha Frieza taking the W here with 2 in the total top 16. We have 3 Dark Broly, a really high representation of Dark Broly. We've been seeing these trends where Dark Broly can be really dominant, and then there's not going to be a lot of blue or red in that top 16. But this one's actually pretty different than what we're normally used to seeing with that, because we see a lot of Dark Broly here, but we also see a lot of blue and a lot of red. So moving right next to the 3 Soul Striker, again, I do think Soul Striker has really solid potential both in this format and even more so moving into set 14 with some of the new tools we talked about in previous videos like Tapion Calamity Challenger, But yeah, Soul Striker right now seems to be popular with many builds. We've seen Red Blue, we've seen Bojack Soul Striker, we've seen Skillless Gohan Soul Striker. The deck is just, or the leader rather, is just so flexible and can play any of those blue engines so well, oftentimes even better than their intended leaders can play it, which is kind of a strange thing, kind of a overpowered thing in a sense. If you think about Mecha Frieza, where Mecha Frieza can do the same thing for yellow, house a lot of those yellow strategies a bit better than the intended leaders can. So pretty interesting to look at for sure, something to keep an eye on, I would say. 3 King Vegetas, 2 of which are red green, 1 of which was mono red. Red green King Vegeta definitely is a Florida thing, kind of like Invoker's a Florida thing, where people just in Florida like to play this variant of King Vegeta quite a bit. So 2 red green over 1 mono red. And then a Vedex and a King Cold, definitely not super surprising. Blue Baby and Invoker. Invoker a bit more surprising, but again, it's Florida. We know that there are Invoker players down there that like to play the deck. And Cell Surge. Cell Surge being a hand control deck that was in no way really touched by the ban list, where I don't really think people thought it would be, but I think people were expecting a random hit to green, even though it didn't necessarily need one, but it didn't get hit, which is great. So Cell Surge is looking like a really solid contender coming out of set 14 for sure. Something to keep an eye on if you like hand control and want to play a super solid hand control deck going into the next format, and still really solid in the current format as well, I would say. Then we have the Tac Oceana Regional with 66 players. I believe this is another online event, but I could be mistaken. So we have 2 Mecha Frieza getting its second win on the weekend, followed by 2 King Vegeta. Now that we've seen King Vegeta so much across this weekend, I definitely want to point out that we haven't seen a single King Piccolo this entire weekend, which is kind of insane. I want to just bring this up for a second. I don't necessarily know if this is really a phenomena, but what I noticed in, I want to say it was set 11 going into set 12, where Vegex received one of its hits, one of its many hits, unfortunately. People seem to put the deck down and pick up Dark Broly as a way of just like preparing for the next format, because people knew that Vegex was going to be slightly weaker and Dark Broly was looking to be in a really good spot. So it seemed like people kind of put that down around the time of the ban list announcement. And this might be a similar phenomena where people are putting down King Piccolo and just picking up King Vegeta to, you know, maintain all their red staples, maintain that red playstyle while just adapting to a deck that wasn't hit by the ban list. That would be an interesting phenomena if that was seeming to happen. And it does seem like a similar case to that last one I was talking about with Vegex and Dark Broly. But anyways, another Cell Surge, which is cool, and a Soul Striker again. Soul Striker being very popular as a blue deck amongst this weekend. But actually, next up is an OG Soul Striker blue-red. This is kind of nutty here. I don't really know why you place OG Soul Striker blue-red as opposed to regular Soul Striker, but I mean, I guess you can. Like, OG Soul Striker can untap blue-reds, where a regular Soul Striker cannot, but we've seen multicolored builds of Soul Striker Reboot before where you don't necessarily care about untapping your multicolors. You just kind of play them because you get access to the really good multicolored cards in those colored pools. But still pretty interesting to say nonetheless that OG Soul Striker managed top here. And we do have another blue baby. So this top 8 here, definitely pretty blue heavy for sure. The final event we're talking about today, guys, we have the Connecticut Pro Play Tour Qualifier. This was a very small event, just 20 players, so more in line with a local than anything else. But they did play out a top cut, and in first place, once again, Soul Striker doing very well this weekend, followed by Blue Baby, and then Launch, and then Chilled, believe it or not. In a top 4, man, that list sounds really interesting. I might have to get that for you guys and post it here on the channel for you. But anyways, guys, that's all the events we have to cover for this weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking for the current format, for the next format. I want to know it all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.